Hello, welcome again to another edition of Indiepocalypse Radio. If you're here live, we're back in the late nights. This is Indiepocalypse After Dark, which is a throwback to kind of when I always did it, because now Indiepocalypse After Dark is kind of like, exists as Indiepocalypse Early Morning, because as it turned out, I had more people in U.S. and Europe where the 2 p.m. time works better than I do have in U.S. and the East Asia Oceania territory. But there are people still there, and that's why we're here in this this whatever time you're listening to it now time zone. I'm Andrew. I'm the host of the aforementioned Indiepocalypse Radio. 9 a.m. See, we're creeping in at 7 p.m. Why am I even talking with the chat? What am I doing? This isn't that kind of show where we hang out with the chat and mess around. No, this is Indiepocalypse Radio. I come here, I talk to people who 90% of the people are people who worked in Indiepocalypse being the, that monthly anthology of alternative games and all that. But I've been branching out now that I've actually asked everybody more or less that's been involved. So I can just ask everyone else and find the right balance between asking people to randomly be on my show and hoping they know what it is, because otherwise, who knows? If you don't have a real show, this is like just weird loser shit to invite people onto your thing, and then you have to make sure you don't explain it to them, because then it feels like you just want them to pay attention to you. But anyway, there are also people adjacent to games in the general game space, like our first guest, who you may know from his the show, the extended universe, the media property, Back Pocket, is Ruby. And it's Ruby. How are you doing today?
Howdy, I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Well, what would you classify Back Pocket as? It's got a link tree. That means it's got a lot going on.
Yeah, it's a lot of things. Hey, because it's the main show that we've got is every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Twitch.
Yeah.
We've got a live variety show where we'll have a guest on. Sometimes it'll just be the four usual hosts, but we'll have a guest on and we'll talk about gaming news, what we've been playing in that week, and a couple almost talk show, game show type activities to go along with it. It's fun times. It's goofy, silly fun times, all related to video games. And that's kind of the main thing that we do. But as well, I recently started a podcast within Back Pocket called Pocket Buds, where I just talk to similarly different people either within or adjacent to the video games industry about kind of whatever we want.
Yeah, because that's the secret of podcasts is when you can just, it's just words into a microphone,
Oh my God, at the end of the day, it's all just talking, isn't it? It's just blah blah ding dong. Like it's just words.
And it doesn't matter what you say, as long as you get that audience for that sweet social relationship, you're good.
Oh yeah, and as long as they hear it and they're like, "Oh, this sounds good, I think." And also, I'm interested in what the words are in that specific order. So it rocks, and I've had a lot of fun. My most recent episode, I had my friend Eric, who some may know from he used to be on Mega 64 and now he's at Rooster Teeth doing fuckface and sorry, can I swear?
Yes, you can. Hello, you can swear all you
like. I have to make sure because
rude.
I have a bit of a modem out.
I am personally wondering, Indiepocalypse is a collection for adults. There is someone, the next month's cover, someone's like, can I make a cover that's more risque? I'm like, yeah, do whatever you want. And I'm like, now I'm wondering, like, how can I go to Staples and print this discreetly? What will the Staples people think when I print these postcards of this very hot cover?
Have you ever had to explain yourself to somebody at Staples?
They like it, actually. And
perfect. Well, that's easy then.
Until I think their district manager busted down on them, they were giving me free zines, which is good because those things are like $10 a pop otherwise.
Yeah. That's solidarity. That rocks.
Yeah, that was that's what you get when your staples like print shop managers or like art school grads. They're like, I don't want to work
Oh
here.
yeah.
This sucks. Have some free zines for that cool thing you do.
Everyone working in retail, and I say this as somebody who worked in retail for about, fuck, I think it was 8 years. Um, Everybody working in retail is either completely black-pilled and there's no hope of return from the retail mindset, and they're
Yeah,
usually an assistant manager. Or on the other end of the spectrum, they are creatives, uh, and they are very cool, nice people who, if you are also a cool, nice person, they will probably, you know, give you a little cheeky hand if you need something like that.
yeah. Well, Ruby, would you believe it? The first 2 years of Indiepocalypse funded by retail money. That is
Hell yeah.
that was me for a very long time because it's just when you don't live in a place where they have jobs besides
Funny that.
stores, you work in a store, and
Yeah.
it's a weird. I would not wish it on most people unless you get a small enough location that you like. Oh, we got a whole crew of vibes here. We got no one who's fully warped into thinking if you
Oh
gotta
yeah.
lean, it's time to clean.
Working full or part-time in retail, and then also unfortunately having a dream and a passion.
Yes.
Happens to be the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like you cannot commit yourself to thinking about it because then you'll never get the passion done because you'll just like it'll just sap all of your energy away from you.
Oh yeah.
So you have to just like mentally check out immediately. But
God, yes. Did you hear that?
no, I didn't hear that. What was it?
Oh wow, it blocks out. So I'm currently dog sitting two cavoodles. They're
Okay.
very sweet. They're very lovely. But they're also annoying as shit. And like I say this with so much love in my heart for them.
Yeah.
Like they're my babies. They are little babies. They're children. They're tiny little dogs. But oh my god, oh my god, cavoodles are. I'm so I love these dogs, but
Yes.
in general, I am so anti oodle. Just because it feels, I don't know, feels wrong to put two breeds together just for our pure happiness. That's
Yeah.
just my opinion.
Yeah, I had a friend who was watching a pug for a while, and like we really mess up their faces. We did a lot of
Oh my god, pugs are the saddest dogs in the world. Like they're cute. They're
yeah,
cute. Like I'm not gonna deny that I'll see a pug and I'll see it go, and I'll think, haha, that's funny.
yeah,
But it's fucked up what we did.
yeah.
It is unimaginably fucked up what we did.
We just like we're like, oh, we want these dogs to look cute, but does it matter what their biology works underneath? They're like, no, don't worry about that. But they look cool.
We'll get to that later, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. No, I have a friend who has similarly a very extremely nervous dog to the point where he left to go get food. I was in the house still, but he was
Yeah.
shaking with anxiety. And I was like, buddy, I'm right here. He's like, you're not
yeah,
good enough.
yeah, yeah. It's I'm now having to carry this dog up onto my lap to make up for the fact that for some reason she was stressed out that I was half a meter away. So
Yeah.
very normal stuff.
Right.
Normal dog stuff.
That's why I've only personally ever had cats. They're my speed.
Oh,
They and
cats are
I,
good because they don't give a shit about you. They do. They're like, you know what? You're nice and you feed me and we're chill and that's great. But like, if you need to go somewhere, they don't care.
no.
That's their house. That's their space.
No,
In fact, you were an inconvenience being around because they might have needed to walk where you were.
That's
So like,
funny you mentioned that, Ruby. There was one night, very late at night, I was going to the bathroom, and I had that moment like one would have with a human being, where a cat and I
yeah.
were walking down the hallway, and we're like, "Oh shit, which way do you want to go? Which way do you want to go?" And then we awkwardly walked around each other eventually after running into each other a couple times.
I can't believe you have to have an awkwardly walking past each other moment in your own house with
I
a
mean,
cat that
I
you
guess I
own.
could have walked over it. Not a thing I can do with people usually.
Exactly, yeah. Can you imagine if we were at that kind of point in evolution where we could just kind of climb over people?
Mm,
Like if you were in in the city, say, I don't know what cities are like in America,
they're
other than like
scattershot, depending on which one you're in. We got a lot of them over
yeah,
here.
right, because there's just so many of them, right?
Yeah.
Like we've got in because you know if the Ocker vibes weren't obvious, I am from Australia, and here we've got a few major cities, right?
Yeah.
But we've only got okay, I'm about to make a fool of myself if I get this wrong. We've got one, two, three, four, five, six.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 6 to 10 major
You've run out of. You've
cities.
got more than I. Because I would say there's Melbourne, there's Perth, there's Sydney, and I've run out. And I don't know if Perth
Yeah,
counts.
right, okay. There's Perth counts.
Okay, good, good. I
Unfortunately,
knew that
Perth
was the
counts.
name of a place, but I didn't know if it was a city or not. It could have been even
Oh, it's real.
yeah.
It's a real place. They're having uh uh some kind of WWE event there soon, which is
Oh,
so crazy. Yeah, there's eight major kind of main cities, but then there's also like semi main cities in like within those main cities that it's whatever.
yeah,
So basically, it's those spots that have their central business districts, and that's where it's busy. That's where it's city living. Um, so I don't know if this would be like I'm just going off of that. But basically, imagine if we had evolved as a society to a point where there could be like a crowd of people walking
yeah.
on the street, and we were just able to climb on top of those people and kind of just go over one another. But then the problem with that in that situation is that it would come at a price of it's not as if just one person would be doing that
Yeah.
because we would evolve as an entire society, so everybody's climbing over each other, so it would actually be a lot messier than I previously
Well, then there's the
foresaw.
second question. What if someone wants to climb onto the second layer because the second layer gets too big?
Yeah, right.
And then
And
it
so
becomes
like
crowded. It's the American problem of like just build another lane of the highway, you know?
yeah, just build like 5 more levels on this apartment building, even though the apartment building in the first place is very shoddily built,
Yeah.
so the 5 levels are going to be built on destruction. And that's the thing. Like, we're going to get to a point where, with
Oh. Are you still there? I'm not in the right channel. Uh-oh. I don't know if your mic cut out or not. Hello, Ruby. No, that's me. That's a problem with me. What's going on here? Did I lose internet? I can't tell. It's still recording.
oh
Okay, that might have been me. That might have been me losing internet for like a half a second because a little thing popped up that said OBS disconnected. Are
oh
you here?
no,
Okay, we're
I'm
good.
here.
OBS reconnection successful. I think that was me losing internet for half a second. There's a first time for everything here on this show.
Hey,
But you know,
it happens.
I was thinking about your little problem of running over people's heads during the that space where I was alone in a void, and I realized that you know who already has done that before, gaming's favorite golden boy Mario, famously.
Mario does do that.
He jumps. There was a whole what do they call those things? Stars, power moons.
Yeah.
Where you climb
Oh
on
yeah.
everyone's heads. Ruby, what do you think of Mario? What's your
I
relationship to
think
Mario?
as a game, I think it's great.
Okay.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
As a man,
Yes. That now
I'm
this is
kind
where
of
this is the important part.
because I'm a big I stick up for the little guy.
Yeah.
I love a player too. I'm a Luigi guy. I love myself a little slicker, you know. But the problem with Mario is there's not much you can really dislike about him because he's a John Everyman,
Yeah.
and he's the hero. He's an undeniably pretty cool guy, and so for me to just say I fucking hate Mario, that's not right
That
because
seems unearned.
I don't. It seems like he didn't really do anything wrong, you know, except be popular. And I don't believe in purely not liking a small Italian man just because everybody else likes him. That's not right. So
No, no.
I'm impartial to Mario just because I think he gets a little too much of the limelight, and I think his friends deserve their piece of cake, which is why I'm very excited for the new Peach game.
Yes, I've seen bits and parts of that. I keep occasionally seeing. I saw a long time ago at Indicate East, someone was making something that was like a stage play kind of thing, and it was like rotating sets. Like it was
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
stage aesthetic. So I get very like, ooh, I don't know if that game ever came out or whatever happened with that. Or knowing, it's funny I say knowing indie games because there was another game I saw at the same event that's still being developed, and this was I
Ah,
don't know 8-10 years ago. Uh,
mm.
the curse of independent development. It's just these games, 90% of them never get done.
Oh
Or
my God, I've been following so many indie games that have been in development for a very long time that I'll forget them and then I'll discover them again and be like, "Oh, that looks so cool." I'm like, "Wait a second. I know this game
yeah,
because I think I gave money to a Kickstarter years ago."
yes, yeah,
And it's just the constant conundrum of the indie game. But you know, at the same time that the just because it takes a fucking long time to develop a game, especially when it's just, you know, a handful of people or just one, that doesn't mean that it's not worth putting
yeah.
your money into or supporting,
Right,
you
right.
know.
If anything, it's almost more worth it because I've stressed out. Could think, oh, that's a lot of time spent to then come out to nothing, and then what happens? Then what happens?
Absolutely.
And it's just
Absolutely. Like have you heard of Way to the Woods?
no, or maybe.
So, Way to the Woods is an Australian game that's currently in development, and uh, the this it may I'm losing I lose my mind every time I think about Way to the
Yeah.
Woods because I think it's really special. It's started being made by this teenager, right? And it's this beautiful game about you play as a deer and her little fawn, and you're making your way through this kind of mucked up world, right? But it's quite beautiful, and it seems like there's not much living stuff left. And what was kind of crazy was, you know, this was just a little game being made by one kid. It got featured on this like Xbox indie showcase,
Yeah.
and everybody was like, "What is this game? This looks amazing." And it kind of came out of nowhere. And I think at the time, people didn't even know that it was being made by an Australian kid.
No, they're like,
And
there's so much nice work. It had to be an American.
yeah, right? Like, oh wow, a video game being made? It must be American.
Maybe it's from England. Maybe.
Well, yeah, if it's not America, it's England. And I'm actually I'm here on the show today to be a spokesperson, not a spokesperson,
Yeah.
but just to say there's so much cool shit being
No,
made in Australia.
there
So
are.
much cool shit.
They even give the government here. The government even gives you money to make games over there.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, it's not it's still a work in progress,
Yeah.
especially with where I'm from, New South Wales. Actually just recently cut funding to the arts department, and that includes video games. But the goofy silly thing is that New South Wales at the time didn't even have any incentives for video game development in the state. So like they were cutting funding that wasn't even there. So it's just like, oh well, Cool. Okay, so I guess game developers have to give the government money if they want to make a game.
Right,
But
yeah.
it's very silly, very stupid, and kind of the big I'd guess the beacons of game development support in Australia are very much Melbourne. Sorry, not Melbourne, Victoria, which
Yes.
houses Melbourne, with Vic Screen and all their support. But as well, Screen Queensland has been giving a lot of support, and I'm not sure what the arts body is called down there, but South Australia has been doing a lot of good work, and it's so cool to see the government actually seeing video games and the video game industry as a viable industry and as something that's worth it. It sucks that it's like the only reason they put money into it is because they know they'll get money out of it. But
Yeah.
that's just the kind of capitalist hellscape that we live in. But you got to roll with the punches, right? And the punches are that the government's interested because it's making money. Let's show them that it's worth even more than that, and maybe they'll put even more money into it. And
Yeah.
so, Vic Screen's been doing really good stuff. Screen Queensland's been doing really good stuff. It rocks. And a lot of good stuff is coming out of Australia, and that includes Way to the Woods. I'm segueing back to my point because I get distracted very easily.
No, go ahead.
But Way to the Woods, being made by this one kid, it's this really beautiful, really, really mysterious game. And it gets shown off, I think, God, 2019, 2018. And then we just don't hear about it after that.
Right. Like,
It had a hopeful release date, and we just didn't hear about it. And it wasn't until around, I think, 2022, because that's when I went down to Victoria to see a bunch of games being made in Victoria, that suddenly Way to the Woods pops up. And I'm like, oh shit, I the last time I heard about this game was from that random Xbox showcase.
Yeah.
What the fuck's happening with it that now? Like what the hell? I was I was really excited, but I was also so surprised because I hadn't heard about this game for years. And
I'm doing some light research, and I'm finding articles going back to 2016 saying Team 17 to publish Way of
yes.
the Woods.
Oh yeah, like it years ago,
Coming
and
to
this
Xbox in 2020.
yeah.
Not so.
Yeah, it's had release dates probably every year.
Right.
And it was supposed to come out much this year. I don't give a shit about release dates anymore.
No.
As long as, people feel like they're releasing something that is their vision and they love it, and it's been made with love, and it hasn't been made with stress and turmoil to their life, or it probably has been, but it's
at some point or in some regard that's usually the core of all creative endeavors. At some point, is like just
yeah,
stress
exactly.
on yourself.
As long as it comes out to their standards, I don't give a shit how long it takes, right? But Way to the Woods kind of reappeared in 2022 with and I had a chat with the developer being like, hey dude, what whoa. It's very cool to see this kind of making its way back into the limelight. Like, awesome. What happened? And basically, he started working on this game when he was a teenager, and then it got all this attention, and he was like, well, I still have fucking high school.
You're right.
You need to do. Like, he had the rest of his life to do, so he had to do that as well as work on this game, and he was working on it alone and kind of learning how to make a game in the process. And eventually, as he kind of grew older, the idea that he had for the game wasn't really what he wanted for it anymore.
Right,
so he ended up.
That was something I was going to ask, because like the gulf between 16 and 22 is a big one.
Oh my God, it's a big one. It is a big one. You are two completely different people at that point, right? And he grew up, and he was like, the idea that I had for the game at like 16 or 18, something like that, wasn't the idea that I wanted to make anymore. I didn't see it as like a clear plan for Way to the Woods, so I ended up changing it completely. And so this game has kind of gone through a number of um what's the word? Transformations.
Yes.
A number of transformations. And it's still not out yet. And you know what? I'm fine with that.
Right.
Because this guy has grown up with his game. Like he's grown up with his game. Of course, it's gonna make about as many changes as he has growing up. So
it's a very.
If
different
anything,
thing.
I'm more excited to see what the game looks like as a kind of coming of age development experience. Like that's so cool to me.
Now I'm curious. It's like, if were there any like early like, oh, here's my demo of my game. There's like, could you get are there hands on any of those and you can compare them? I remember.
Well, I wish, because I played the demo in 2022.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is such a neat idea. This is really cool. I would have loved to see what it looked like back then, but I'm not sure if there was a playable version of it. But it's very interesting to hear about kind of where this game has gone, and I do hope I get to give it a go soon, because it just looks so pretty, and I'm very excited for Anthony.
Yes, I closed that tab, but I was looking at it as well. I was checking out all the stuff. When you have two screens, you can multitask nonstop and be like, look at this game.
It's so cool, right? Technology's
believe
awesome.
It or not, I like games a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I'm getting closer to playing modern video games even. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, I like to do other stuff too besides play games. I have big piles of movies and books, and I gotta empty them out before I can touch video games.
The good thing about video games is you can, I mean, depending on the game, of course, there are some that you need to put kind of like your whole brain into, but the beauty of them is sometimes you can put on a movie and sometimes you can also play a game, and then you can watch the movie and on the screen and play the game on the littlest screen.
Finding that perfect balance of two things that neither require my brain to any strong extent.
Yeah, exactly. Like I get through a lot of, because I love to watch all kinds of movies, and that includes animated movies, and I watch a lot of animated movies just to kind of see the hype,
Yeah.
And the good thing about animated movies is they are made for children,
yes.
and not all of them, but there are animated movies made for children that also adults can enjoy, and that means is that they understand that they can put as much as they want into it, and a lot of artistic expression, and that rocks. But they can also kind of get away with it being a movie that's on in the background while a child is smushing a sandwich onto the wall. Like it doesn't have to be the main priority, which means they're perfect to watch while you're playing a video game
and doing the video game equivalent of smashing a sandwich against a wall.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, the themes are right there. They don't have to. You don't have to pay a lot of attention to understand the underlying themes of Toy Story.
Yeah, I mean, but if you want to see the cameo from like, I don't know, everyone's favorite ball in the background, you're gonna have to look really closely
with the stars and everything. Speaking
man.
I don't like how that lamp steps on him though. Sometimes it's
kind of fucked up.
Yeah, seriously. Like he's like, oh, I don't like round. What's their deal? I want where's their story, Pixar? Where's the Pixar opening credits cinematic universe?
Yeah. I feel like it's an entirely separate. Like, I don't think Woody and that lamp have ever met.
I'm dying to know. I'm dying to know. Hollywood. Give me
a
call,
what are they
Hollywood.
talking about?
Hollywood, I'll scab the story for you, no problem. I'll do the WGA and the SAG side. I'll do them both.
I want to know what Woody and the Pixar ball and the lamp would say to each other in a conversation over coffee.
speaking of, no, I had a segue. I lost it because I started talking about other things. But Ruby, we're approaching the end of our segment here. Believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I have two kind of standby, eternal Indiepocalypse questions I need to ask you. Crucial.
Absolutely.
The first question is, what is your favorite type of rock?
What's my favorite type of rock?
Yes.
Oh, beans. That's a good one. And crystals don't count, do they?
It's all up to interpretation. I'm not the rock police around here.
Okay. Yeah, good point. So it probably does include crystals, and I think stones would probably count as well. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with probably like Weezer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
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 Are we?
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. Now we're talking. We're talking. Let's not get too dragged into making jokes about Maldra or whatever. Pork and beans.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are these homies dissing my girl?
Yes. Yes. I
Rivers
do.
Cuomo's a funny guy.
Listen. That. What's the fuck? Why am I? Pinkerton's a funny little thing, you know. It's a fucked up little guy. It's an album made by a
Oh
fucked
yeah.
It's made by a fucked up little guy. It's like, this guy is a fucked up little guy, but I like
Oh yeah.
peeking to his head, you know.
Oh yeah.
And second question, Rivers Cuomo aside, because he doesn't. Unfortunately, as far as I know, not within this series. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
Toho character.
Yes.
Huh. Like Touhou?
That is correct. The one I do not quite know how to put the right spice on to pronounce properly. Not the one with Godzilla.
Yeah,
as his
so
face.
is that oh god, is that the fucking
the
that
long-running
bullet
Hell
game?
Dojin series?
It's the anime one. Fuck, okay. Oh,
You're not a
oh man.
Now this is a do. You don't have to have one if you don't have one.
Yeah, man. I think I'm probably, if I have a long hard think about it, I think I'm gonna have to go with Weezer on this one again.
Okay, perfect. Yes, Weezer. I think.
Yeah.
I think Zune's compositions were like deeply inspired by the Blue Album overall. If you just like really listen to it, you know.
Yeah, but, I think there was a lot of Toho Project inspiration when it came to the Blue Album.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, that Rivers Cuomo. I've heard El Scorcho before. I think I know what that guy's into. I bet he likes.
Oh yeah.
I bet he likes Toho Project.
He's such a freak, and I say that with love for the Blue Album. Yeah. I do genuinely like that album, but boy oh boy is he a weird guy.
Yes, yes. I do like those. Are those the first two Blue Album Pinkerton, or is there something in between there? Where's Maldorot? Anyway. Anyway, yeah, he's a little fucking freak, but I like those songs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, you can't even pretend it's a character. He's playing a character like an author would. Anyway, we'll be back after this break. Ruby, thanks for joining me on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
I hope you can
pleasure to be here
for the group seg at the end.
Oh yeah.
Until then.
Absolutely.
Perfect. I'll see you, everyone else, on the other half of roughly 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Goodbye. Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Printhead with Strawman Warpath. That's the other. If you're unfamiliar with Indiepocalypse Radio, that's the second half of it, where it's a pirate radio show where I play music that I like, that I get 90% off of Bandcamp. And in some cases, like that old iNako demo, it's something I was very glad I downloaded sometime forever ago and still have. I recommend people. If there is a version of it on YouTube, but it's not the perfect version because the songs bleed into each other. Anyway, we're back with our next guest, who you may know. This is the other 90% of Indiepocalypse, where it's people who are, they're in the extended acquaintance collection that is Indiepocalypse. I was gonna say family, but I'm like that's not true. And or family in the sense that in the way I often treat families with cold distance. So I guess they are kind of like in the Indiepocalypse family. But anyway, with issue 37 of Indiepocalypse with one last time, it's Marn S. Marn, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm very good. I'm having a good calm evening as Tropical Storm Ophelia hits my general area.
A new one. There was I was it was post tropical Lee was hanging out around me when I was going to go to Providence one day, and they were like, someone was like, you can't go that shit. You're not going to market tomorrow, right? There's going to be a tropical storm, and then it wasn't there.
Oh no. Yeah, Maryland's Baltimore's Artscape Festival was supposed to be this weekend, and they canceled it today because they were like, "Oh, it's tropical storm."
Ooh, what is this Baltimore Artscape Fest? Tell me a little bit about this. Now I'm curious.
Artscape is a Baltimore art festival that they almost always manage to hold on the hottest weekend of the year.
Ooh.
And this is the first year they were like, we're going to do it in September instead of August. And then a tropical storm hit. And they were like, well, just kidding.
No. Huh. And that's just... No, because I'm looking at, I'm looking to travel more to different events in 2024. That's the next year, yes. And I'm trying to eye, a little bit of gaming events, but I'd probably honestly do better at art events, I think, personally.
Yeah.
Weird
Baltimore
thing.
has a lot of weird little outdoor street festivals, which is nice. We have Artscape, we have the Baltimore Book Festival. They folded the book festival in with Light City, which was like an outdoor lights festival in the winter, which was a weird idea.
Yeah. I think Providence is kind of the same way because they also have AS220, which is 2 blocks of artist residence and black box theaters and stuff like that.
Ooh.
It's I'm technically in Massachusetts, even though I'm so close to Providence. So I don't know. I'm not technically a Rhode Islander. But it's all freaking New England, It's all the same.
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's all the same. New England is the same.
Yeah, they're all. They're very different, but they're all the same. Close enough. I don't think. I don't think a Mainer is the same as a masshole. But anyway, we're not here to talk about U.S. regional stuff. Now I'm like, yes, I can talk about U.S. regional stuff. Let's talk about. I've been picking up a podcast lately where one of the hosts is from Massachusetts, and I'm like, yes, I love. They're talking about sandwich. I'm like, yes, sandwich. I did not realize this kind of hyper loving regional stuff. But let's talk about games, Samar, because you made one and it was in Indiepocalypse, and that's ostensibly why you're here, not to just shoot the shit. Even though, that's probably what we'll do. But it's a good baseline. Oh no, wait! The first question. The most important first question. My informal marketing question. How did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
I heard of it because my friend Kara Surgeon made a game for you.
Oh, that is a perfect way to have heard about it, Yes, that is what's the word I'm looking for? Good way to hear about it. I like that people can make games for it. That's a thing that I like having done,
It's pretty cool.
I realize that it's a thing you can do, and you can do it a little cheaper because nobody ever pays for people to make games. That's the curse of this whole independent space is nobody pays for these games in any scope. But speaking of your game that you got paid at least $20 to $50 for by me, what is, if you're unfamiliar with it, One Last Time?
One Last Time is a game that I wrote. It is a hack of so it's a tabletop game. It's a hack of a different game that I wrote, which basically just has a system for running time loops.
Yeah.
And I used the kind of core time loop system to be like, okay, I'm gonna write this into a boss rush game. because I really like watching speedruns, and I really like watching speedrunners do boss rushes.
Yes, I am also like a a speedrun fan aficionado. They're actually like, as far as like LPs go, they're like they work the best for what I want, because people usually explain most of the game while they're playing it, and that's kind of what I want out of it. I mean, I like, I like a let's play where someone has fun and says funny things about a game sometimes, but I also like to learn about them.
Yeah, I actually, so part of the inspiration for my last time was I like watching people learn speedruns.
Yes.
Games Done Quick on their Twitch channel has a show called The First Step, which is just two speedrunners just like take games that they've never played before, and
Yes.
they race and they learn to speedrun them.
I'm familiar. I'm a big fan of just like, even if I haven't watched a lot of it, even though it's like on my to watch, the idea of like Games Done Quick extended like shows, a series of shows.
Yeah, they're really good. They did a series that I really liked where those two runners taught each other how to run like their games of choice that they run competitively
Yeah.
over the course of a month, and then they swapped and raced the games that they had each taught each other to run, which was very cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting, like, it's good stuff. I feel like the internet is kind of games is kind of leaning towards the variety streamerification of everything, and like shows kind of fade away a little. So I love seeing when people make I love when people make shows. Even though, of course, it takes like way more effort to make a show.
Yeah, it is cool though, and I like seeing people perform a game fast with skill.
Yes, it is. And I'm going to be fully honest with you, Martin. I saw that it was a hack when I was originally making your game, but it's such a common thing that I didn't click through to it, because people so often, I didn't realize that you were hacking your own game.
Yeah. I wrote the core system, and then I made two other games with the same system, because I was like, well, I really like how this system came out. I'm just gonna keep using it.
Yeah, I realized that I do the same thing unofficially, I suppose, where I have a similar tendencies of ways I like to do things, but I didn't realize I could call them a hack of my own system. But it is,
yeah, exactly.
But that is like the great thing about like tabletop RPGs, is that you don't need to create a whole system. You can borrow someone else's or just borrow your own.
It's so good. I also write fiction for a living.
Yes.
And I started, well, not like quote unquote for a living. I
right. But
paid like a living, but
as far as your quote unquote hobbyist day job, or whatever you want to call that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I originally got into tabletop as like a way to give my brain like another thing to do besides writing fiction, basically. Yeah. Because it feels like exercising a totally different muscle, and it's nice to write hacks, especially because like a lot of the legwork is already done for you, and you're just kind of like being like, okay, how do I change these, like the wording of this and like these mechanics to like make the scaffolding for like the genre that I want to emulate.
Right. And there's the added benefit of that is, because it's like, on a table, because it's not a video game with like computer rules, even if it's not perfect, it's just like people are playing it, so
yeah, exactly.
They'll fix it themselves while they're playing it.
Yeah, they'll either figure it out, or they'll leave me a comment telling me that they've figured out how to fix it, and I could be like, oh cool, let me patch it real quick.
Yeah, it's not like you just upload a PDF to Itch. It's not like I finished writing my game, and then you look at it, it's like, why is this half in WebDings? I'm confused. Even if it doesn't work, but a fiction writer too. So now there's a whole other like, well, you have your hands in a lot of different pies, so to speak. As a
constantly, yes,
creative. what is, if you could take your hands out of all these pies for one moment, tell me what each of them is. It kind of,
Yes.
what is your portfolio?
So my actual paying day job is I work in an academic library, and I very much enjoy doing that. So that is one of the pies that I have my fingers in.
Yes, I've looked at like I thought about actually a library. I'm like, wait, you need degrees for that, and I was like, I don't know.
You don't. That's the secret. You don't.
I should have. I do have. I mean, I do have a degree, but it was in a library one. It seemed like a fun thing I could do.
Yeah, they only want you to have a degree if you're like actually going to be a manager. You can work pretty much any position if you don't have a master's in library science.
I should have been a librarian.
That's the secret the big library doesn't want you to know.
And that the books are free.
And that the books are free.
Or is that the thing that they want you to know?
That is the thing that they want you to know. I feel like so my like specific job is I request books from other libraries to like lend them to us.
I love Maren, that is a position that I love.
And I feel oftentimes that is the thing that big library doesn't want you to know.
Yes, I was signed up to 2 library networks because I was relative distance to both of them, and one of them, I would order books, they would be delivered, and I would self-check. I wouldn't even see another person. They would just be delivered to a shelf. I would check them out, and I was gone. It was like, and they were like any books. Libraries have rare, expensive books.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. My wife works at a public library, and she checks all of my books out for me when they come into the whole shelf. So I don't even have to go. She just texts me and is like, "Hey, I checked out your book."
That is, listen, get someone who check out your books for you. You know, that's all you need in life. It says libraries. Okay, no, let's take this pie and put it back on the sill. We're done with this one for now. Get back to what else have you got going? We've got game developer. We talked about game developer.
Tabletop games. I co-run a podcast network, and I also do most of the event planning. I'm officially, unofficially our director of event management.
That's that. Is that one? Is that a point of stress or one of the pleasures of just kind of make up your own business? You get to make up all your own titles.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of fun doing that. I genuinely really enjoy doing it because a lot of the time I get to organize an event and then sit behind the scenes as a lot of my very funny friends actually do the event, and I just get to like kind of sit there in the wings, like watching them be funny on command. I'm like, oh yes, I planned this.
Oh, do I? Because so every 10 months, which roughly equates to once a year, I do a pledge drive for Indiepocalypse, and I organize this whole thing, and then like I also have to host it for 8 hours. So, Martin, the question is, how do I get to not have to host these things?
You find a lot of very funny friends who like hosting instead. That's my recommendation.
Seems hard. Friends, I'll just block up my 8 hours a week, a year still.
You have to do whatever Kermit did to get the cast of The Muppet Show, which is really just like, I don't know how this happened to me.
I thought, isn't he just gets very exasperated and flails his arms around a lot?
Yeah, pretty much.
I may have seen that once or twice as a child, and I have seen multiple times the GIF where Kermit bites Vincent Price on the neck. And the fact that I say that because I saved it. I have it on my computer because I made it myself in case I ever need it, which I often need it. How was the Muppet Show?
It's really good. I enjoy it a lot.
I think about it sometimes because people have a reverence for it. And it was just a thing that I never watched at that age. I was watching, the Mario Brothers movie and Space Jam. Good movies.
I think as an adult, there is a lot to appreciate in it still. That's my take.
I did see, I was at Indicate East during, I think when the Jim Henson exhibit was in the MoMI.
Ooh.
The Museum of Moving Image. And I watched some of his, unrelated to this, on the Criterion Channel, I watched some of Jim Henson's like short film stuff. Like, this seems cool. It's almost like they're cool public access people.
Yeah.
But and that is that. I think that's part of the charm of radio and all this is like it's just public access. We brought it back.
Yeah, literally, it's very cool. I was a radio person at my college, but we had like we had a radio station at my college, and it was like online radio, so we could play whatever we wanted, and we were allowed to swear, which was very fun.
I know. That's why I do it every week. It's a. So what kind of time slot did you have? Was it
I think I did mostly evening time slots. I did for my freshman year. I had like a show where I played exclusively like mashups and remixes of songs,
Okay.
and then for my senior year, I had a scripted radio show that was like the frame story was I was like rebroadcasts from a haunted radio station from the 90s.
Oh, now, the important question is that kind of thing just like ephemera at this point, or is it?
I think some of it still exists on SoundCloud, but it might have gotten taken down because we were using like actual 90s music.
Right. Because that's the it's the weird thing with podcasts being an extension of a radio, where radio was just like ephemera. Podcasts are just everywhere. They're taking up too much space on the internet. You might say there's too much of it.
As someone who uses my primary podcast as like media archival, I like podcasts.
No, Martin, we're here right now with podcasts. I love that it is radio that you could like just get forever.
It's very cool. It's such a cool medium. I'm glad I got into it.
Yeah. It's these democratized mediums. You love them. You love them. Love more people working at things is always better. You know, having zero barrier to entry.
And like running a podcast network, it is like genuinely very cool to see like what shows people will come up with and pitch us.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh, that is a crazy idea, and I want to help you make that.
Yeah, that is my same process with the covers and the commission games. It is with the covers, I give them the very strict guidelines of it has to say Indiepocalypse on it. With the games, I give them no thing, and they're like, "Here, this is what I made." And it's almost like when you give people infinite creative freedom, they make cool things.
It sure is almost like that, yeah.
You don't want to give them network notes unless you become too big and become. And podcast networks also are like a very cool, like natural. They're like the small press of podcasts. You know, they're like a good local scene kind of thing.
They really are. It's crazy to me how many podcasts exist in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
it's equally crazy to me when any person embark on a creative endeavor doesn't immediately go like, I should find some way to at least informally group myself with other people.
Yeah,
Because it seems very hard to do on your own. Oh, there is. Do I have this as talk shows? Oh, I have this as just chatting. I should turn this into talk shows. I don't think that existed when I started.
Oh.
I'm going to change category. This is a live category change, folks, to talk shows and podcasts.
I didn't know Twitch had that as a category.
I didn't either until I have the back pocket page open. I'm like, I am overstimulated millennial. I just am doing things constantly while I'm talking to someone. So I'm just like scrolling up and down on a page. As I'm like, yes, I'm fully listening, but I don't have anything to look at.
No, I completely understand. I have neopets.com open in a tab.
Yes, you have to crack your omelet for the day or whatever. Are Neopets still doing NFTs?
No, they're under new management now, and they got rid of all the NFTs. They got like bought out by like just some guy who was working at the company that owned them. He was like, I'm gonna buy like the whole Neopets brand and like make it an independent company.
It is that and like RuneScape, perfect testaments of you don't. Art is timeless in its own way, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's crazy like how many things on like pet sites have remained unchanged since like 2004.
Right. It's can you still just inject HTML into your store pages?
Yep.
Oh my god! So I can still put my MIDI versions of Linkin Park on my store page.
100% you can.
Oh, I need to have another MIDI night on this show. There was a night where I did all MIDI, and I should bring back MIDI nights.
Oh, that's amazing.
I have very few themed nights because it takes more time, and I get sometimes I'm like I just throw a bunch of songs I have. I have a lot of songs. Let me just throw them in there quick. But I get picky, and I'm like I have to have custom graphics, but. And by custom graphics, I mean a new GIF, not actual custom graphics. You know, I need a GIF of Gumby on a horse.
Yeah, exactly.
But I should. It's not even horse night, but I should bring back. I just like that. Anyway, Gumby. Martin, how do you feel about Gumby?
I was never like a huge claymation kid.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like slightly past my time.
Yeah,
or slightly before my time, actually.
I had Gumby toys and some Blockhead toys, but to my life of me, cannot recall ever viewing a Gumby until
I can't either.
2022. But it kind of sucks, but I kind of like it.
It has an appeal, I think.
Yeah, you know those things that like kind of suck, but you kind of like them.
Yeah. Sometimes something just looks bad, and that's the appeal of it.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, hey, I like this.
It's got something going on.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things that like speaks to the cursedness of media, where it's like, well, at least I feel something.
Yeah.
At least it's something, and not nothing.
At least I'm having an emotional reaction to this clay man.
Yeah. Rather than, I guess I'm going through the motions with Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And his... If Captain America saw Gumby, he'd be like, I get that reference. And I'd be like, God damn you, Captain America. That's not a joke. But I'm also someone who in high school who at one point just got very upset at someone. Not very upset, but got fed up with someone whose sense of humor was quoting TV shows. And I was like, those are not your jokes. You didn't make them up. What are you doing? But that's beside the point. What isn't beside the point is I forgot to check the time, but looking at this time, I think you and I, Martin, are approaching our end of our segment here.
That seems about right.
Once every, I'd say, 2 to 4 months, I think I should open a timer thing so I know how to time these things out. Sometimes you hear podcasters talk about their timers, but I'm like, I'll just play it all loosey-goosey style.
I just recently learned about time.gov, which is the most overstimulating timer website that I've ever seen in my life.
I would believe you that's a website, but I've never been there. Oh, there's a lot of times on here. Yeah.
It's the official, like, U.S. Department of Defense, like, time clock dashboard.
It reminds me of in middle school, our vice principal always used to tell us the atomic time every morning.
Man.
It was a thing he liked. But speaking of atomic time and Half-Life, carbon dating, what's your favorite kind of rock, Marn?
My favorite kind of rock is mica, because when I was in middle school, we used to find chunks of it in the like sports fields, and we would go and smash them in the parking lot. to get like the shiny mica chunks inside.
Okay. I thought you were talking about of course, the classic Mission of Burma song "Micah" off of was that Signals, Calls, and Marches, or is that Verses? I don't remember off the top of my head. Where are my Mission of Burma heads here? No, Smashing Rocks. What? I wonder if I did that too. I canonically on this show enjoy throwing and smashing rocks and smashing things, or maybe throwing rocks against things, but there is that pleasure of just discovering stones within beautiful stones within other stones.
I feel like specifically like smashing up rocks in the middle school parking lot is like a very formative childhood memory that I have.
Yes. I don't think you could describe a more middle school activity than. I mean, when I was in middle school, let's see, what did we do? We stole a shopping cart, I believe, so we could store Transformers inside of it.
Oh my god!
Just like middle school things. When you live in, I wish. I understand the world isn't built the same way, but living around where there are woods that you can go into.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I always think how could a kid grow up without woods to go into?
I was a woods kid. My parents lived in a very woodsy area.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can just break stuff.
If you can't get Lyme disease, what's the point?
I've had Lyme disease twice.
I've had it before too.
The first time we were on vacation, I was like, I feel so drowsy and I have a massive headache. And the second time I caught him, this is Lyme disease. I'm like, I'm going to go to the hospital because I know I have Lyme disease.
My God, I got it in college because I helped run our Humans vs. Zombies club, and I was running around in the woods with a bunch of students, and the next week I was like, I have a big rash on me. I'm gonna go get checked for Lyme.
Yeah, it's really fun to go there in the summer because, at least in my specific situation, the medication makes you extremely sensitive to sunlight. And I was like, yes, this is why I'm going to spend all summer indoors playing video games, because of my Lyme disease medication.
That's wild.
No other reason.
I got it in the winter, so I don't think that hit me, but the medicine did make me basically narcoleptic.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but now follow-up question. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
I have to cop to the fact that the only Toho I've ever seen has been speedruns, and they were playing it too fast for me to have a favorite character.
Oh, so you cannot connect to any of the various yokai within the world, or any of the witches or shrine maidens. Well, yeah, that's all right. Maren, thank you for thank you for coming here. Thank you for making games, doing all this stuff. I was like, what's this 7:00 show going to be like, since I'm so used to doing the 2 p.m. ones, and I'm all full of burgers or whatever. And you know what? Firing all the cylinders. Remember why I like doing these. That said, thank you again. We're going to go on break. And fact check, I was right. It was Verses. It was not Signals, Calls, and Marches. For all the people dying to know, which mission. Also, I would listen to those. If folks listen to those two, they are top shelf classic post-punk New England albums. Even I think they're from New England. Are they from Providence or Rhode Island? They're somewhere around there. Anyway, they rule. There was a really strange. It was undownloadable, but I occasionally hosted an AMV night every last Saturday of the month. And AMV, of course, standing for Anime Music Videos. And there was one that was Azumangadayo and Mission of Burma's Academy Fight Song. But so far as I can tell, it is not accessible on the internet. And it probably might have been no good at all, but it was just, I wanted to see it exist. Anyway, before I get trapped just talking about music, we're going to go on break. I'll see everyone in the other side of 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye for now.
Yep, all good. I'll explain later.
Hello and welcome back to. You've already been here for a little while. Welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Azusa Plain with Cambridge. I don't know which Cambridge they're referring to. I'm gonna say, the one in the U.S. maybe, because I think where was Azusa Plain was like New York and Chicago based out of. I don't remember where he was from. Anyway, that is my regular period of being like, hey, everyone should buy the Azusa Plain album. I really like it. It's like 6 hours long. You get 6 hours, 9 hours worth of stuff. Good bargain if you like good feedback, ambient drone guitar stuff. But speaking of good stuff, we've got our final guest here of the show, who you may know from Indiepocalypse with issue number 42 in War Crime Chess. It's Rudy. Rudy, how are you doing today?
Oh, not too bad. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm doing this. I'm pointing at it right now. I'm paying attention. Third time's a charm. I'm watching the clock this time. Not that I will remember necessarily, but I'll be like, yes, paid attention. Then 30 minutes later, I'll be like, Andrew, what was that time again? Oh, and I'm like, I was supposed to remember it too.
I have trouble with clocks and time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, perfect. So speaking of things I hope you don't have trouble with, and that is remembering, hey, Rudy, how did you hear about Indiepocalypse?
I think I heard about it on Twitter, and I'm on Itch all the time. So,
yeah.
I think I've seen some of the stuff on Itch. I meant to submit something before, but I just never got around to it. And then I think you had added one of my games to a list or something on there. I don't know exactly how it works, but
yes, I do. I have a giant list that I call to play.
Yeah.
And I have other sub lists within there too that are secrets that no one else can see. They're private.
No, okay.
But that is like that generally means that someone else that I follow, whether they either added to a collection of theirs or rated it 5 stars. So I go, ooh, I should play this at some point when I play video games, not for this project, which is frequently. But yeah, that is. I think I get a couple of those every now and then. And speaking of games, the game you submitted, War Crime Chess. How would you sum up War Crime Chess?
So it's chess with hidden information, which is it's a chess variant.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's a chess variant called Fog of War Chess, which is basically it has some hidden information, like pieces are invisible up to a certain distance from your other pieces. It's on chess.com. But this one is one that kind of combines that with the ability to make illegal moves. There in the war crimes element of it. So you make a bunch of illegal moves, and the person with basically the fewest illegal moves is the winner. So, and of course, your score, each side has guilt, which accrues as you do illegal things. And the side with the lowest guilt at the end is the winner, and the guilt slowly decays over the course of the game. So,
yeah, so it's like a balance of both playing chess but not being such a war criminal about it.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of inspired by. I saw this documentary called "The Fog of War." It's by Errol Morris. It's about Robert McNamara, who was the Secretary of Defense in the 60s and 70s. I think after that too, for Vietnam. A war which I don't really have to say anything about that.
Right. Hey, folks. It's pretty bad.
But yeah, no, I was just inspired by that documentary. In particular, a quote he had in there was like, recognize at times we have to engage with evil, but minimize it, which I guess is kind of what you're trying to do, minimize your illegal activity. So,
but recognize it like, hey, you want to win at the same time. Yeah, it is
exactly.
It's very weird that Fog of War, a very real term, is kind of like translated to being video games is the part of the map that I can't see.
Yeah, no, isn't that weird? Like, I know a lot of stealth games and stuff. Like, it's a strange concept it's strange that it translated so well into video games. I guess it's been so successful, but almost a lot of strategy games use it,
Yeah.
and a lot of even like something like Metal Gear Solid or whatever, where you're trying to move around in secret, and there's like the thing with the lights and stuff like that. I mean, that's the Fog of War too, I guess. And
Yeah, it's all this kind of like map as part of play element sort of stuff.
yeah, I really like stuff like that, so that's why I was kind of inspired to make that.
Now, are you familiar with any block war games? A term I learned 2 seconds ago.
Block war games.
Yes. Like Stratego.
Oh, Stratego. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was actually a subgenre of wargaming.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I've known Stratego a little bit.
There's Quebec 1759, which is a similar kind of like, they're just like embossed stones, and I assume you get all the information on one side, but the opponent can't see anything.
Oh, okay. Huh, that's pretty cool. I look at a lot of board games, so I don't get to play a lot because
Right.
a lot of my friends aren't really into board game stuff. But
Yes, yeah, and
Stratego was cool.
that's a tricky thing about board games, is you both have to have people nearby you, and then also they want to play board games.
That's the thing. Like some of the weirder, like Euro games and stuff like that. Like, it's hard to. It's like, well, we're pulling out board games. Where are we going to pull out? Well, charades or something like that.
Yeah.
Because those are fun. I mean, yeah, but it's rare that you pull out some of these weirder ones.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, yeah, and even like, Catan, I get what's going on in Catan. It's
Yeah.
like we're gonna play a game that requires, look, it has miniatures and
or something like Scythe, or one of those weirder like resource management type of games. Like, they're fun.
Or like, hey, we're gonna the kind of game where you pass around a rule book for 30 minutes to an hour until someone decides that they have to read it.
Like Twilight Struggle or something like that.
Yeah.
Not exactly like light type of games, for like a light board game night where people are fucking around on phones or whatever. No, it's not. It's difficult to get that kind of.
You have to kind of like be into it, but they are fun if you really like drill down.
No, definitely.
I remember.
Yeah.
But that's all aside. Now I'm gonna close these tabs because now I'm thinking about I can make my own block war game.
Hell yeah.
These kind of like, because I mean that's something you hear a lot in the tabletop spaces. I was inspired by a thing and I made a game. It comes up less common in the digital space, probably because people tend to make much longer games.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But the idea of like how often you're like, oh well, I'm like just kind of like you're making a game off of a loose idea, or like inspiration in a moment.
Almost always, almost all of my games are like that, actually. And for better or for worse, almost everything on the Misery Tourism. That's my itch.io Misery. It's
no. And that is also a perfect segue into just like general misery tourism. What is people also unfamiliar with misery tourism?
Well, it's a website you can go to on the real actual internet.
Oh, it's a good
we used to be.
There was something.
We used to be a basically a lit mag, which is essentially like a place where you can send like stories or poetry games to.
Yeah.
Where it started because me and my friend William actually made it was like a collection of 8 games. That's how when we started Misery Tourism, we made that collection first, and then we kind of turned and like pivoted into lit mag stuff because everybody and their mother too has a lit mag on the internet. So
no, I met someone at an event who had a small press thing and also had known someone who was like an Indiepocalypse contributor. So it's like, yes.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely it's a pervasive thing in the web spaces. We're on Twitter and other places. We don't publish we don't publish content anymore on the site, but we still have the itch.io.
Yeah.
And we still do like this little poetry reading. My friend runs it on Friday, a night, and we run it, and people come and read their poetry, read stories. Sometimes I'll demo games or whatever. There, very very rarely someone else will demo a game, but yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. Now, how does demoing a game in like a space like that work? Usually.
Well, it's a Zoom call.
Oh, okay.
So usually what I do is I share my screen, and then
Yeah.
for some of these games they have network components too. So like anybody who wants to can jump in, and I'll just like put the screen up or whatever. And I guess not for work on chess because it has secret information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or some other games like I could share my screen and other people will jump into the lobby or whatever.
Okay.
Or I'll just show what I'm working on. Like just a PDF. Well, I like tabletop RPGs and stuff too. I do so.
No.
Yeah.
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 No, because that's very cool. Because I like the idea of like just like just jamming games in other art spaces. Especially where there are like art games.
Yeah, I like that because we're basically our mission statement is that we're an outsider arts
Yeah.
lit mag. So I mean, we don't have any very specific restrictions on content. Obviously not subject matter, but nor do we have them on, like what type of stuff we want. So, we're looking for games every, when it was open, we published games, we published stories, poetry, everything, music sometimes.
Yeah, and that is like it creates like a more open space, and it's good to have just kind of like because that's the secret of publishing. When you publish your own stuff, there's actually no rules.
Yeah, exactly it. Yeah, and that's one reason why we kind of got into it. We found like a lot of the communities and stuff just did not cater to what we wanted to do, so I was from the era like the Forge, or some story like for a while Story Games was a bigger one.
Okay.
But they weren't doing exactly what we wanted to do, so we just made our own thing.
Yeah, and there's always like more like there's infinite space. It's the internet. You can just put a damn website up.
Right, yeah, right on the live, actual, real internet, yeah.
Yeah, and no one can stop you.
They can't, no.
FTC is not going to come and bust me for publishing. Actually, I mean, if they did, it'd be good publicity, probably.
I was about to say, yeah, that's one good way to get some publicity, I guess, just to get canceled by the FCC.
Yeah, I'll get a small snippet on all the articles on all the game sites for a day until they forget about me because I don't know.
Yeah.
Mario has a new hat.
Yeah.
Man, he's always getting new hats. What if I got a new hat?
Mario is a man of many hats, I guess. I guess he has to be to do his job and stuff, Yeah.
He's always got a like.
Kind of looking forward to the new Mario. I guess the Wonder, is it called or something? I mean,
yes, that is the name of a new Mario. Is Wonder.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, so everybody can wear the new hats. Because there's like, I don't know, I saw some trailer for it. It looks like there's like a shit ton of characters in it.
Yeah, I would. Actually, I wonder if it's one of those because those 4-player ones. Do you have any?
Yeah.
So that's how like they have strong familiarity with those 4-player Marios.
Yeah, yep. The new Super Mario Brothers was the one where I kind of cut my teeth on that because I didn't have a Super Nintendo or anything as a kid.
Yeah,
I had a Genesis, the Evil Empire system, whatever. So no, but the new Super Mario Brothers, yeah, that was a pretty brutal game, I guess. In some ways, very much not a cooperative game, even though it's supposed to in some ways be.
No, that's the beauty of it. Is like it's its own beast of chaos, and it's like it very much like an entirely different thing when you're playing with 4 people. It becomes an entirely different game just by.
It's a whole different game. Yeah, no, it's really strange. Nintendo is really good at making these games that are ostensibly like family activities, I guess. But when adults play it, when adults who are too damn old to be playing them, like me and my friends, play them, it kind of goes sideways. And there's a lot of games like that on Nintendo. Like Dokapon Kingdom is one that I know It's like this RPG Monopoly type of game,
Yes,
and
I
that's
bought
one that
that.
I really.
I bought that on the PlayStation 2 forever ago, and then never played
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. I had one for the original Wii, and I tell you what, they really do some stuff in that game that really gets people going.
Yeah, that I was so fascinated by the idea of like an RPG Mario Party game, and then for whatever reason, just the stars didn't line up, and we never played it. I should bring that to our next in-person game night and be like, let's play some Dokapon Kingdom. Huh.
Yeah, no, like I mean, I did the same thing. I was really enthralled by the idea of like this, first of all, rock paper scissors based combat,
Yeah.
and also the Monopoly element and mixed with RPG elements, and so I brought it there. And little did I know there'd be death threats and everything else slung around.
Well, that's just the life of the like the capitalist style board game is eventually
Right?
like the one thing for whatever how forever far Monopoly has strayed from its initial intention as a game,
Mm.
it still does a perfectly good job of replicating the crushing despair of income inequality.
Yes, or just inequalities in general. I
Yeah.
think yeah, it's very much, it's very brutal.
You're just like, this isn't fair. I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I unsuccessful? Why do you have so much more stuff than me?
Yeah, exactly. Or just like this kind of like, like the myth of like Horatio Alger type of thing, where it's like, well, you're in last place, you can be first place if you want to. And then, Dokapon Kingdom kind of mechanizes that with the Darkling thing, where it's like, you're in last place, you can just fuck everybody up, because, you get this Darkling class that can kill people in one hit or whatever. And that,
Now,
I,
I'm typing. Sorry, now I'm typing Dokapon Kingdom Switch. Ooh, it is a physical version. I'm a real.
yeah,
I like buying things physically, so that Nintendo
yeah.
can never take them away from me.
And I think if I'm right, it's on Steam now too, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
But I'm gonna look. I'm just gonna leave. Luckily, it's in a private browsing window, so maybe I won't buy it.
Oh yeah, that.
Or or maybe I have this Twitch money. I have this $50 from Twitch. What better way than to spend it on video games?
There you go. I think it's actually $49.99. The game is so. Yeah.
My friend has a Switch, so I don't even have to bring my own Switch to his house. Although I was gonna bring my laptop because I was gonna play. Anyway, Shadow Tower's got a really cool multiplayer mode in it. But
Oh, I don't. Yeah.
are you familiar with Shadow Tower?
No, I haven't played that one.
Are you familiar with Dark Souls?
Dark Souls, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not quite first person, but same company. It's the bones. It's
From
like the bones
Software.
of that. But,
Gotcha. Okay.
imagine if every enemy you killed in Dark Souls was added to like a bestiary, and then you could play a versus mode where you played as those monsters.
Oh no, that sounds amazing. Holy
Yeah,
shit!
yeah. I was surprised it existed. It seems unreal. It seems
It's like Dark Souls Pokemon kind of. Is that the idea? Except like.
no, like you physically control like whatever moveset that creature would have.
Oh, okay.
So it's like terribly busted in some ways because obviously these creatures
Yeah.
are not made equal.
Yeah, yeah. You can control like bosses and stuff like that too.
I believe so. Yes.
Wow, that's wild. I'd love to do that. I'd love that for the Dark Souls
Yeah. So it'd
universe,
be
like
like you
going
have
Quelaag.
right. So Quelaag versus undead with sword.
Yeah.
But if you win though, like as that undead with the sword, that's where the satisfaction of life comes through.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of the fighting game. Is
Exactly. Yeah.
is the low tier success.
Yep. That moonshot basically.
Yeah. Yes. It's nothing. There's nothing more pleasurable than that. Semi-related. Are you familiar with Archon?
Archon, yeah.
Okay.
I really like the idea that like chess and then it becomes like a real time game. But there's not a sequel, not a direct sequel to Archon, but it's like a spiritual sequel or whatever called The Unholy War. It's a PlayStation 1 game. And it's it was very influential in my childhood, I guess. It was just obscure, like, I think it was Eidos Interactive or somebody put it out, or I forget.
Toys for
Dynamix?
Bob.
Toys for Bob, yes. Yep, that's who it was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really obscure game, but like you could like they had like the Archon mode where you were on a map and like it was abstracted sort of. You move these units around and then you fight them when they get close, and as like a arena fighter basically.
Yeah. Huh.
This is all in 3D and whatever, but yeah, Archon is really cool. I like that game a lot.
I am now interested. I've been playing through all the FromSoft games chronologically.
Yeah.
And I am like really fascinated by like that 90s to mid 2000s like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, Saturn, GameCube era,
Oh yeah, it had some really good arena fighters. Power Stone, I remember, was a good one.
Yeah.
There was just a ton.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Oh, it even comes with a demo of Soul Reaver.
Yes, I remember Legacy of Kain. Yeah, I remember it was on the demo. I actually never played it. I never bothered with the Legacy of Kain thing. I just played the shit out of
yeah.
War, but,
no, that was a thing that IDOS did, because I remember playing a different Soul Reaver on my copy of Gex Enter the Gecko.
Oh, Gex. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That came on a demo disc, I think, that I had for PlayStation.
Yeah, but what is Little Witching Mischiefs? What is this? This is a little out of... Toys for Bob made this, like, fighting role-playing game starring... What is this? What is...
Oh.
Majoko Daisuke? Okay, what is it? Toys for Bob an American company or an English company?
I think I thought they were American. I'm not sure.
They are. They're from California, but they made this Majoko Daisuke Saikusen, Little Witching Mischiefs. Anyway, this is a little thing for me to get sidetracked down.
Yeah. I love Toys for Bob.
REP Toys for Bob.
Yep.
I'm looking at their most recent, because I was like, what is their games developed? Crash Team Rumble, Call of Duty, Crash, Spyro, Crash. It looks like they've fallen into just working on whoever bought them. Who bought them? Activision. They're just
Activision.
Like they're in the Activision Call of Duty mines. REP Toys for Bob.
So,
Anyway. Oh shit! Creeping up on me. So Rudy, we've been chatting a lot. We've been talking all this stuff. We did say, coincidentally, you did say Moonshot. That's a little name of the podcast network that Martin is a part of, organizes. That's yes in the chat. But what's your favorite kind of rock, Rudy?
Well, I think as far as rocks, like, I'd be remiss if I didn't say coltan, the stone, the conflict mineral. That's actually inspired a couple games I've made. So I'd have to say that one. They put it in cell phones, put it in everything. It's electronic conducting or something. So yeah, let's say that one.
And now the follow-up question. And now, like the other guests had come, this is a do. Do you have a favorite Toho character?
My favorite Toho character, I guess, would be all of them, because I really love female fighters. Just, I don't know if it's a genre, right? Like the female only fighting game or whatever. I remember Arcana.
Yeah, Toho.
Arcana Hearts was my, but yeah, they're dudes in games, I guess. But I love all of them, and I would love it if my friends actually would play Toho with me, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, there are, because Toho is a neat thing, because there is it's primarily like the canonical version is a series of bullet hell games, but it's but it's like open
which
license,
I don't like.
So there are fighting games and everything too.
I like the fighting games. The fighting games are really cool, but I'm just not. I don't have the technical expertise or whatever for I don't have the finger gymnastics for the bullet hell games.
Right, and because they're fighting games themselves are finger gymnastics, but they're like different types. They're like
Yeah,
different...
it's a different type. It's more like feelable, I guess, and the Toho ones are a little more simplified, I think, than like say Blaze Blue or something like that. So
Yeah, but that is, yeah, I have Mugen, man. Mugen, what a...
Fujin, yeah.
What
Okay,
a...
you can make like Batman fight. I don't know, like fucking Crash Bandicoot or something. You know, you can
Yeah.
make anybody fight anyway. I love that.
And finding like which characters are clearly poorly made and which ones are like really well made.
Yeah, and which AIs could run the characters most, whatever. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Mugen. That feels like it's like almost of a different era. But folks, if you've never played, if you never fire up, spend a weekend setting up your Mugen roster. You know.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I remember downloading all the characters, and yeah.
I very very ambitiously always getting like, I think it was based on Mortal Kombat Trilogy, the UI, but it was also like 300 hit space for like 300 characters or something.
It was ridiculous.
But yeah, it's a cool thing. It's like it feels like a different like space of like independent game design, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like those, I think it was made with Fighter Maker. Or was that, or maybe not? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just their own engine or whatever they made it. They slapped it together with. But it was a really, like, I remember that very specifically from that early 2000s era.
Yeah. But with that all said, we're gonna go back to a break. Rudy, thanks for being on the show with me. You'll be back in like very soon, because being in the C block. But we'll be back with everyone else in like a minute 54, more or less. Bye for now. Oh, hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Hazy Sour Cherry with Think of Me. We're talking language here. We're talking how we all say words different, even regionally. Because I was listening to the aforementioned, also the whole crew's here, officially.
Gang's all here.
Yes, the gang was always all here, but everyone politely says, "Let me let this member of the gang have their spotlight." But I was listening to that aforementioned podcast where that person is from Massachusetts, and they were making fun of them for saying words like popcorn and hot dog. And I thought for a moment, do I say that? But it's an impossible thing to test yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Until I was...
See, anytime an American says anything and then they go, "Oh, did that sound weird?" I get them to say it to me as a not American, and then I can tell them whether it's weird or not.
Right.
Like popcorn
Pop
is how I would say it. Like popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn. But no, we were hanging out one night and I said it with the U and they popcorned my ass hard. They were like, "Don't eat my dog, bro." Like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah. You like to think that when you're, when you go into the public sphere, you try to shed your regionalisms and be.
Yeah, well, the town I'm from, where I'm living now, we're near the Canadian border, so there's a lot of like French Canadianisms and stuff. And,
okay.
It's in America, but it's in the U.S., but it's near Canada, so. Like it's like literally 15 minutes to the Canadian border, so there's like a lot of regionalisms here. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from how I hear you do sound, because I watch a lot of movies, and all the freaking movies are from America.
Yeah.
So you do sound like you're closer to Canada.
Oh, really?
Like,
okay,
you've got that kind of tone in your speech that is. It's kind of like in Australia, like we've got different accents, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people think we just kind of sound like Crocodile Dundee, but there are multitudes of different accents in Australia. And I think especially because we're kind of like a cultural melting pot as well. So you've got people from all over the world coming to Australia, and then they'll learn Australian English. And then they'll all sound like different people soy, of course, but it's a melting pot, right? So,
Yeah.
but in different regions of Australia, like for example, Adelaide. Anybody I've met from Adelaide sounds so fancy. They got a real fancy boy voice. And it's so obvious to like other Australians, but then Americans that I've met have been like, oh no, you guys all sound the same. Like you all sound like Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, sick. Very cool.
Yeah, you sound like one of the 3 Australian people I know that doesn't hide their Australian accent.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of Australian people. I've heard but it's like extremes, I guess. Like I've heard like Steve Irwin talk. I've heard, Crocodile Dundee, and then I've heard Courtney Barnett, I think, the singer.
Yeah.
Courtney Barnett, yeah.
Yeah,
She's great.
Yeah, she's awesome. And so those are the 3 extremes I've heard. I haven't really heard. So I'm obviously I'm not from Australia, but
Really?
It's a far ways away, It's all the way.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so fucking far away. It's like, and every time I think about it, I think about it for a second, and I'm like, no, it's not that, and I'm like, no, it's so far away. We're like sitting in the corner at the party. Like we are so far removed from everybody else. And then I'm like, God, I wonder why nobody comes here for any events or shit. I wonder why every concert is so expensive when it's in Australia, and why nobody comes to fucking PAX or Rooster Teeth Expo. Which doesn't happen in Australia anymore, for probably the same reasons, and it's because it's just so fucking far away. Like it's a trek and a half. What's the point?
It's one of those things where I wonder which way is it faster for me to fly there, which direction.
Yeah, it's like because when I went to the States, I think we stopped at Singapore first. And then we went to America?
Yeah, it would...
you got to stop.
Like a 24-hour flight.
Yeah, it's a whole fucking day. It's crazy.
Oh, wow. Australia is also big too, right? Like it's bigger. It's like the size of half. I don't know. It weirded me out when I saw how big the continent is compared to the United States continental.
Oh, it's huge. It is huge. And it's really big, but the problem is that the middle, the literal middle of Australia is almost uninhabitable just because it's so hot.
Oh, it's hot. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's about U.S. is about 1.3 times bigger than Australia, which is not much.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. And you your country's a lot more cut up.
Yes,
into
definitely.
States.
Yeah,
we've just got 6. I think 6. Wait, fuck! I should know this. Western Australia, Northern Territory, because we've got territories and states, and they're 2 different things apparently. And it's Western Australia, Northern Territory, South Australia, New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, and Tasmania. So we've got 7 states and territories.
Yeah, we've got,
and they're huge.
50 of them. And who knows how many territories.
Gosh.
That old colonial period, just scooping up any little island they could find.
Oh, yeah.
And it is definitely hyper regional differences, also because I don't know how it is in Australia, but there's so many legalese between states is so much different.
Yeah, because we've got we're very similar to America in a lot of ways that I think suck, but in a lot of ways
the best one.
And it's the states thing and legal differences between them is a huge thing. And if we go back to video games, for example, such a huge thing is video game support in different states, and it makes a lot of people who are making games in New South Wales, for example, feel like they're fighting a lost fight compared to people who are making games in Victoria. Which is just like fucking stupid. Like,
Yeah.
why don't they just make it easier for everybody? How about that? Making life easier for everybody.
Well, that seems,
What a concept.
You're asking for a lot there, Ruby. You're asking,
Oh yeah.
making life easier. Well, what about for me at the top, the fat cat? How will I be able to lap up my milk every morning?
Yeah, my problem is that I'm never thinking about the fat cat when I should be, because it's not right.
You should be.
Yeah.
They're so sleepy because there's just a big old fat cat lying around. I say because I think I've said this on the show before, but that is a perfect name for the privileged wealthy, because there is no being on this planet more content with his lot in life than a fat cat.
Oh yeah, like a literal fat cat.
Yes.
I mean, I often think, me personally, my life would be easier if I were in like a Garfield type situation.
Yeah.
Because John just dotes on him,
right.
and like he's comfortable. He doesn't like Odie. He doesn't like the dog, but he's not causing him that much trouble in the long run, and he kind of always gets people food whenever he really wants. So he lives a very, very good, very privileged life that I would love to have personally.
Now you've stumbled upon something that I'm curious about. What is the Garfield penetration on the Australian continent like?
In what context?
What's his influence? You know, how long does it? How much does it orange tabby float around there? You know, is he in the papers?
I mean, I don't think he's in the papers. No, you have to go online to see Garfield in Australia. He's online only, which is so sad, really. At least from what I know, I might be completely wrong.
Right.
And there's actually an Australian newspaper that publishes, what's his name?
Garfield?
Oh my god,
Oh,
I
John
almost said Miles
Jim
Davis. That's not right. Jim Davis.
Yeah.
Not Miles Davis. Completely different man.
Not John Davis either.
No, not John Davis, but Jim Davis.
They're both musicians.
Both musicians. Somewhat different.
A little bit.
Different, yeah. I mean, all music is the same.
Would you not classify someone who's taking a sip of the bitch's brew to be a freak on a leash, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think that you could actually draw a lot of similarities between Korn and Miles Davis. If you think about it for long enough,
yeah.
To a point where you kind of like when you think about a word for too long, that it starts to not make sense anymore.
The more you think about something, the more you convince yourself anything is true.
Yeah, exactly. In other words, if you delude yourself enough,
yes,
then you can find many similarities between Korn and Miles Davis. Both great.
Yeah,
both awesome.
Maren, important question: during your college radio days, how many Miles Davis Korn mashups were you playing during this mashup segment?
I will say, there are a lot of really good Korn mashups out there in the world.
That does not surprise me whatsoever.
There was like a phase, I feel like, in like the mid 2010s that people got really, really into making Korn mashups.
Oh damn!
It is kind of like his weird little scatting sections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. really lend themselves to like just being inserted into things. Now I think.
Yeah.
I couldn't find. I unfortunately searched Korn Miles Davis mashup and found nothing. The closest I found looks like it's connected to a Reddit thread where they're something about LCD sound system, but that is not the same. LCD sound system is not Korn.
Yeah. Well, if you think hard enough and for long enough,
it could be.
Yeah, like that part of Dance Yourself Clean, where like the breakdown is kind of like after that breakdown, after the corn, where you start scatting. And yeah, I get you. Yeah, you know.
Most bits of music can lead back to
Yeah,
like it's
the first album I bought with my own money was the corn one that has the puppet on it. I forget what it was
Oh
called.
my God.
awesome.
A really good bit to do is to make your friends try and phonetically spell out the scatting in a corn song.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm at PAX Australia this year, and they gave me a page as a special guest, which is very fucking funny. But the bio was kind of it was very short and sweet, and I was like, I don't like, it's nice, whatever. But I decided as a funny little joke to myself to just superimpose corn scatting over the bio. But that also meant I had to like look up the lyrics and find how it would be phonetically said.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not as kind of, it's hard to explain. Like it's not as guttural
Yeah.
as you think written out. Like it's literally like boom da da dum na ima da
Yeah.
boom dum na ima.
I assume by look them up, you went to your liner notes of your CD you had lying around, of course.
Yeah. I had a listen and put it through Google Translate, and it came up with da boom da da dum naima. Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
You know, when you say it out loud like that, that is like this my next project, my Shatner style rendition of new metal songs, where I get very into just like, listen, are there any has Shatner ever done a spoken word version of Nookie? I think he could pull it off.
I think so.
Surely that feels like something that's
Absolutely.
happened.
Yeah.
No, it is.
I had a moment in life, and in terms of, you just do something enough times, you can convince your brain of anything. I watched that Rocket Man. I'm like, this actually kicks ass.
He did Iron Man, which isn't new metal, but it's like it's somewhat close enough that like I feel like he probably wouldn't mind
Yeah.
Mhm.
jumping in onto a cover of like Rollin'.
Yes, I could.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'd like to see like System of a Down, like a Chop Suey is the standard, right? So something like that. Like
Oh
Shatner.
yeah, I feel like any big band man could do Chop Suey.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew. Now the question is: new metal ripe for a reevaluation, or is it already being reevaluated? Who knows?
I feel like it's already being,
It's back.
Yeah.
I think it's back. Big time. In a big way. Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually got a Limp Bizkit shirt on right now. It's back in a big way.
Yeah, I saw someone else. I forget what context. She had a picture of someone with a Limp Bizkit shirt. It was in 2022 was the year I decided, like, yeah, what if I actually just like MCR,
Oh yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay, I do.
Yeah.
If you put away your that teenage toxic masculinity, you're like, oh, this is just...
I have so many friends who, like, they've come back years later. To me, someone who was quite out and proud. I shouldn't say it like that, but I'll say it anyway.
Yeah.
Quite out and proud as a fan of emo and pop punk and yada yada yada, right? Always a fan, and having friends from like high school and that kind of era come back to me and be like, yeah, I always liked My Chemical Romance. And I'm like, why didn't you say anything? And they're like, oh, I thought it was cringe. And I'm like, are you what?
But, like,
Really?
the thing is, it is cringe, but like,
Yeah.
there's beauty in it.
See,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
kind of in the same boat where it's like I always like the emo shit and all of that kind of, that kind of bag.
Yeah.
But now my friends are rediscovering like MCR and stuff. When I told them about it at first, I'm like, but now it's like holy shit, this MCR, like the Black Parade, man, like holy fuck, like,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I was listening to that a couple days ago.
Oh yeah,
and like it rules. It is like I
it's
saw
good.
I saw someone say the sentiment of the song itself, "Welcome to the Black Parade," is like. I saw someone that said to me like, "Oh, this is like our Bohemian Rhapsody," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, kind of,
It is.
Anyway, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
This is it's theater kids doing some real theater kid shit."
Oh, it's a rock opera. Well,
Yeah.
The Black Parade is Dead as an album. Or Welcome to the Black Parade. I mean, The Black Parade is Dead was the tour, and that ended up being like a literal like live rock opera. But the album was, you know, literally like it was a rock opera in every sense of the turn of phrase. And then Panic at the Disco tried to do it and they failed.
Yeah, I even so I found a weird coincidence that the same person who produced that also produced Green Day's contemporary what's the word I'm looking for? Or I'm making one up. Contemporaneous. There it is. Rock opera adjacent album. What was that album called? American Idiot.
Oh, American Idiot, yeah.
Oh, sure.
It does not work the same way as it is like more straightforward like radio rock stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and they're one of those albums that you'll see Andrew Lloyd Webber talking about, and you're like, of course this guy likes this shit. Of course he does.
Oh yeah.
This is right up his. I don't know if you've not seen it out there. I'm pointing at my turned off camera. It's somewhere online. Andrew Lloyd Webber is like, some people know musical theater fans recognize this, and he does like the opening chords of Phantom of the Opera, and then he does like, but other people know this. And he does like that one piano note from Welcome to the Black Parade.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And I'm like, it just dawned on me, like, of course this fucking guy would love this album. I bet he does.
Of course he does. Of course he does. But it's a very it's a well-made album. Like
Yeah.
it's
good.
It's so well produced, and I think is a testament to song placing on an album as well, and how important that is, and how I think kind of I think Spotify and streaming music has kind of made how do I describe it? Made the art of song placement on an album kind of like moot, you know what I mean? Like it's just not really important now, which sucks because it's such an important thing to a lot of music producers.
I pretty much strictly listen to albums front to back. I'd never listened to playlists or things like that. And to the point where I've gotten thrown off sometimes by like just hearing a song, like you'll hear like a weird song in a store, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then like, wait, what's this song that comes after? It's not the right song because it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's supposed to like inherently.
You can hear it cross over so clearly, and then it doesn't.
And then you're like, oh, this doesn't make any sense anymore. And this is like, but that is like, I listen. This is not. I'm not a shuffle shamer here on this show. I'm not here to shuffle shame people, but
I am kind of the opposite. I'm very much a Spotify, Spotify it type of person.
Yeah.
And I have a playlist that's got like 3,500 songs on it, mostly from different artists. But on the subject of rock operas, Coheed and Cambria, anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's one that, and like they're so like, I've never read the comic books or anything like, because I understand it's based on like their comic books or something like that. But it's so like I first heard it on like MTV too. Like I think it was Favorite House Atlantic. I was like, what in the world is this? But then I've listened to the albums, and they're really, really good as like rock operas, even though it's mostly kind of incomprehensible, like what they're talking about, unless you've read the books and stuff.
Yeah, Coheed is like it's interesting because you don't really need to know the lore to be like, oh, this song is a banger. But then if you know the lore, you're like, oh shit, this song is a banger, and also it's about like burying somebody alive.
Oh yeah. No,
Awesome.
I love them though. I got obsessed with them like probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I was like, wow, these guys are really, really, really good. Like
they're so good. They also have like a separate like other band where they do like experimental like electronica stuff that is like still within the lore of the Coheed universe.
What are they called? They're like the gun something. It's some weird name.
Fuck. It's Prizefighter Inferno is what it is.
Prizefighter Inferno. Yep, I've heard it. I've heard some of their tracks. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like Mars Volta and At the Drive-In type of thing, sort of. I guess with them. I don't know if that's a good comparison, but
yeah, so good.
It's good shit.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe genres because I mean once you start getting into music genres, you just kind of like yeah, it's sometimes it get messier, you know. It's harder to
I don't know anything about like how to describe my taste or my like. You're like, well, what kind of? I'm just like, well, emo or whatever, rock music or rap or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not. It's hard to like mine into the really hyper specific stuff, you know. But
yeah, because it's like you know, in those broad genres, because you're like, oh yeah, I could say like emo, but you know, emo is it's MCR, but it's also you know Rainier Maria.
Right, or Bright Eyes, or like
yeah,
exactly. You know, it's a broad ocean, I guess.
There are all these different like huge other like that's where you go, oh well, this is Midwest emo, whatever that means.
Yeah,
and then you get into like post emo and like post hardcore.
Post. Love the post genre.
See, I always thought that post hardcore was emo for a while, but I guess it's not. No. I thought it was just what I was like. Oh, okay, and then
post is the most nonsensical of affixes. I don't know if I think I'm just making.
Is it a prefix or is that
prefix? That's what I'm looking for. I was caught up in affixing into it. The most nonsensical prefixes.
In the past year, I will say, like, I have discovered the most music by getting into music leagues, which is like, for people who don't know, it's like you get a group together and like every other week you get a prompt that is like as specific or as vague as the person who writes them wants them to be. And everybody submits a song that they think fits that prompt, and then you like upvote and downvote them based on like your personal preferences, or like how close you think they are to the prompt.
Oh shit! Is this a site?
Yeah, it's just it's like app.musicleague.com because it's also a phone app. And my podcast network Moonshot has one with a bunch of our like podcast hosts in it, and it's very fun. The last round we did a love songs round, and then immediately afterwards we did a songs about divorce round.
I was
cool.
I was working on. I want to do like I don't know, a divorce night or an anti-love song night on this show one time, and I probably have enough songs, you know, just at the top of my head. You know, I just put on all of Tallahassee.
Yeah. But like we've also done like a song from the first album that you ever bought, or like give us a song that's 3 minutes and 30 seconds long exactly. And I was in another league where we did every round was a different tarot card, and you had to do a song that like fit the themes of that tarot card, which is very fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is a very exciting. I'm looking at my 330 songs. Quite a few in here. But anyway, I'm very. I like that idea a lot. I'm going to. I don't know if I have the kind of friend group that would do anything like that, but I do like it a lot. I like that it exists.
it's really cool, and it's like it's an interesting way to pick up new music from your friends, and
Yeah.
also like discover how to pander to your friends by means of like looking at a song and being like, oh, I know like X person is going to give this a lot of points, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll submit this song.
Right. It wouldn't be your choice for the theme, but it's like a choice that you're like, yeah, I know what's
Because
going
it's also all anonymous until like the round results come out, so you could
Okay.
try and guess like, oh, I think
Oh.
this person put in this song.
Oh, okay. Oh man, I think my friends would be actually really into this. I'm looking at the site now. I'm trying to sign up for it. This is
Very cool.
actually really cool. It integrates with Spotify too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it makes like the playlist for you on Spotify, which is nice.
Gotcha. Oh man, that's awesome. This is a good find.
because I feel like a lot of the music sharing kind of like this is my jam sort of things kind of have faded away.
Mhm.
8-track.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss 8-tracks.
I forget what
Oh man.
I'm trying to think.
8-tracks was so 8-tracks was so good because they let you annotate your playlists, and no other playlist site lets you do that. And it makes me so mad that 8-tracks like fell out of use.
I thought it shut down because it's one of those things that
I
had
think
no
it's
revenue
back
model.
now. I think they brought it back. Possibly like someone bought it and is like trying to resurrect it. I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to spend forever looking this up. Speaking, oh no, 8-tracks. It does look like it exists still. Kind of. I have to pay $4.99 a month. What's going on here? I don't know anymore.
No, that's bullshit.
Maybe it's just turned into a streaming thing. Chill Essentials. Get out of here with Chill Essentials. I never need to work out to or study to anything. Well, I like this cover though. Anyway, music. I think it's cool. I think people bold statements on Indiepocalypse Radio. I think music is cool.
Music is cool.
It's unfortunate that they never go to Australia. Or
Yeah, no. It's they do and they don't.
yeah.
It's kind of like I've gotten to a point where I understand why artists rarely come here. It's because we are so far away.
On the plus side, though, the one time I was going to go to a Courtney Barnett show once, and then I had to be in Toronto the same weekend, so I missed it. And that's an Australia thing you could probably do all the time, or relatively.
Yeah,
speaking.
well, is Courtney Barnett like? I mean, from your guys' opinion, how big is she over in the States?
I have no idea. I have no sense of how big anyone is. That's the tricky thing.
Because she's great. She's really good, and she's probably one of like our most one of our most successful contemporary exports. Like I wouldn't say most successful exports in general because we've got fucking AC/DC and shit like that.
Yeah.
But and the funny thing with AC/DC is they're obviously this big huge band, but the way that I remember kind of learning about them in a more conscious sense rather than just like knowing that they exist but actually like kind of listening to the music and stuff was because I went to high school with a girl whose dad was in their touring band.
Oh,
and
wow.
and it was such a weird connection that I was like, oh yeah, okay. And so I started listening. I'm like, look, this isn't for me, but I get it. And they're like one of our biggest ones. But then nowadays, and I think that this comes from shit being like just as much as people don't really want to tour in Australia because it costs so much money. It's not that they don't want to, it just costs a lot of money and it's very out of the way. It kind of works the other way around, where it's pretty hard to get big in Australia as a musician.
Right.
Because we like having that reach outside of the country is very difficult. But you know, you have the odd ones that kind of shine, like Courtney Barnett, even in like an indie sense. But she's great. She's
Yeah,
really, really good.
She was up for like best new artist with like her third album or whatever. However they do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is crazy.
that's that fun thing the Grammys does, like best new artist, sixth album. But we mean
Yeah, it takes
we mean in the major
takes
release.
Australian artists
Yeah.
3 albums to to get recognized.
To equal a U.S. artist. Yeah, it's I was looking to see.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I heard of her from like YouTube. Basically, the YouTube thing recommended me one of her videos. I think it was Elevator Operator, one of the popular singles.
Yeah.
But, that's how I heard of her. But
I have my only sense of scale is I have like a theater that I like to go to see concerts because it's like an old theater. It's old New England style theater, and it's like I like to sit down and chill. So my sense of like, are they bigger? How big are they? Do they play the upstairs, which is smaller, or they play the full downstairs? And that's how I know if they're bigger or not.
And sorry, what does cultural differences? What does New England style theater
It's
mean?
old as shit.
Okay, cool.
It feels old. It feels old. Because you know the U.S. is like 200 years old in terms of its colonial days. You know.
Yeah.
So it's just like, this feels like it's more than 50 years old. You know, it's a kind of thing that like you would have, you know, outside of the U.S. people would have had for like a long time, and it's like a classic thing can only be so old within the U.S.
Well, I think Australia would probably be like one of the
Right.
exceptions, right? Because I mean, obviously, our First Nations people were here for the longest of any, really. Like, you know, tens of thousands of years.
Oh,
but
yeah, that's why I was like, very much our colonial part.
yeah, as a colonized by the British country, we've only been kind of a country for fuck, when was it? I should know this.
I'm looking at it. You're about the 1700s too. We're like of the same age. We're like little contemporary babies.
We're still a quote unquote young country, but in terms of like how long First Nations people have been here, it's old.
Yes.
But yeah, it's and it's so weird because like we've got like a whole lot of heritage listed buildings, but probably not as many as like other countries because they were only built so long ago.
Yeah, so
you know.
So I think what you would think of as an old heritage building, I would think of as an old heritage building. We're about the same age in that.
It's almost as if the British were kind of doing stuff around the same time, right?
They're getting busy, keeping tabs on things, and then some people. I mean, we got more upset about it because we got a chip on our shoulder. We're like, no, thank you to the Queen. I don't know how you feel about her down there.
I think.
Sorry, R.I.P. Queen.
I'm being honest. Oh yeah, rip, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the monarchy is stupid and weird, and I cannot fathom why we still are part of the Commonwealth. But
that's why
at the same time, there's a whole lot of fucking weirdos down here who are like, God bless the king, and it's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. We are so far removed from the monarchy over in England, but then you've got heaps of royalists who are like, I just think the princes are neat. It's like, why? You don't know them.
But they got all this free money because of how they were born. And
they have a castle. Isn't that cool and interesting?
Yeah. I wish I had a castle I could live in. I don't wish I had a castle I would live in. They seem cold.
Yeah, I feel like the insulation is not great.
No, I'm looking. I started looking at Australian musicians. I was like, who are your chief? I didn't know Iggy Azalea was an Australian export.
Yeah,
neither.
yeah. She is from Mullumbimby.
But anyway, I'm gonna stop looking at this list now. There's too many people. I'm like, who are these people? I mean, I know a lot of them because they're people's names that you know. It's funny. Some of them have like little. I didn't know they'd have this. They have like a picture. They have like people's year that they were alive if they had died on this like little thing here. But goodbye to you.
Whoa.
My other frame of reference is there's an English, I think a 75% English band called Aloe Darlin. But I think the singer's Australia because I reference things from Australia sometimes.
Right.
King Gizzard is Australian, right? Yeah,
they are Australian. Yeah, we've got our indie exporters kind of had a bit of an uprising over overseas. So we've got like Courtney Barnett, we've got King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and we've got Tame Impala, a huge overseas.
Oh, sure.
And God, who else? I think Amel and the Sniffers have kind of gotten a bit more popular lately. Peach PRC, she got really big through TikTok.
Getting big off TikTok is so weird because I wonder, like, those feel very like, if like in the moment, and then like TikTok, man. Anyway,
Oh yeah.
I close my tab. Windows I've killed the Windows because about 18 minutes ago I was going, wow, this show's been running for a long time, 2 hours, and I'm like, I need to keep this in reasonable length, and I need to not talk about like Hungry Jack or whatever, because I mean,
So hungry.
yeah, I like just kind of local delicacies that are not my own. You know, I like the salt of the earth food kind of stuff. You know.
Oh yeah, when I had when I was over there and I had what's it called?
Culvers, yeah.
Culvers. I had Culvers and I had no idea what it was, but that shit's delicious. And that was how I learned that different areas of America have different unique fast food chains.
Yes, I'll say, Ruby, I don't know what a Culver's is.
It's like a Midwestern chain, I think.
Yeah, it was in Chicago.
What is a
Yeah,
what is a
yep.
Butterburger?
Yeah, right. And like you guys have Outback Steakhouse there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a little slice of home.
Yeah, that's like your first port of call.
Yeah, that's
for
where
Australian food.
I think you can go there and claim diplomatic immunity or something. I think you're.
Yeah.
Or amnesty. Amnesty is what I was looking for.
That's what are the buildings called overseas?
Embassy.
When they represent
Embassies.
Yeah. Our Australian embassies are all located in every Outback Steakhouse, which is actually really, really efficient.
Yeah.
And you know, makes things a lot easier because not only am I safe if I do any crimes, I can just run to the embassy. I also get a great meal out of it.
Right. You can have a whole onion. I think they do a big thing with that onion.
A whole blooming onion. Yeah.
Now, does that extend to their like spin-off seafood restaurants though?
Are you safe in the Long John Silver's or?
No, Outback has like their own like spin-off seafood restaurants where they don't do steak.
That sounds about right because we've also got we have so many fish and chip restaurants here, and so like it makes sense that Outback Steakhouse would have an Outback Fish House. I'm assuming that's what it's called.
I don't know.
It's not, but they should have called it that.
You know, the funniest thing is they opened Outback Steakhouse overseas, right, in America, right?
Yeah.
And then they brought it here. So like, so we've got Outback Steakhouse here, and it's a weird thing of like an American idea of Australian food, but they've brought it into Australia.
Right, because it's not like it's not like a Jollibee where it came from the Philippines and then like went to the like spread throughout the U.S.
Yeah, it's like putting a getting a power, what are they called? A power bank, and then plugging a cable into it and then the other side back into it.
Right.
It's kind of like that. But Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, I'd love to see with like important question while you're here, because I've run into this going to Toronto even. Like, was there anything, Ruby, that you thought was like, oh, this is a staple food that I like to eat that I can just pick up at any old grocer around the world, and then you got to the U.S. and you're like, why do you not have this thing that I thought simply existed everywhere?
Like fresh fruit.
Oh.
I really struggled to find when I was in when I was in America.
Oh, wow.
Struggled to find fresh fruit. That was a huge thing. But I'm just trying to think now. Because I went for a week.
Yeah.
And a bit. And I was in LA, and I was in LA and I was in Illinois. And I was able to find most shit really, and I think it's because a lot of Australian stuff, a lot of stuff we can find in Australia, is like US imports.
Okay.
But like you guys have like Lay's chips,
Yeah.
and we have Smith's chips. I think they're the same thing. Maybe.
Yeah, Lay's is like the same across countries, but it's like called something different in every country, I think.
Yeah.
I was
Like,
just
we've got
talking to
Smith's
a British friend about it because they're called like something different in England too.
Yeah, because I mean that's part of what gets me down that rabbit hole, because I get obsessed with like I like that just like the normal foods, I don't want.
Yeah, like do you guys have Red Rock Deli chips?
No.
I think
No. It might be an Australian thing. Because I feel like they've gotten off their offices in Victoria, but Red Rock Deli chips they're like fancy,
okay.
but they're so delicious. And now they're like supremely overpriced because inflation has absolutely rocked the supermarkets of Australia.
These look so good.
They're so good. They're fancy chips, and they're so fucking yummy. And I didn't realize that they weren't like an international thing. I think that's actually the one thing that I really struggled with when I was in the States, was not being able to find Red Rock Deli chips.
Yeah, like there's something like there was a company that I think like Polar or somebody tried a similar. There is like some kind of deli chip. I'm trying to I'm blanking on the name, but it has a similar like outdoorsy name to it.
Yeah, and have you guys got Kettle's chips?
I don't know if we have. Oh, yes, the brand. Yes, I believe so.
The brand Kettle's. Yeah. Okay, cool. And is honey baked ham as a flavor still a thing over in the States, or is that discontinued there as well?
I think there's honey glazed ham. I know that.
Damn. Okay, cool. Because honey baked ham, and it probably was honey glazed ham, was discontinued in Australia years ago.
Really?
Years and years and years ago, and it was my favorite flavor. And it's just not available in Australia anymore.
Huh? That's weird. How it was just phased out.
Completely. And now almost every chip brand has a honey soy chicken flavor. Every single one.
Huh.
That's wild.
It is such a specific thing. Every single one has a honey soy chicken flavor.
Well,
that is weird. I've never even heard of honey soy chicken.
Yeah.
I've got some good news. If you ever are in the United States again, Red Rock potato chips available. I could order them right now. I could go I could go to the store and purchase some down the street.
Whoa.
Yes. I was like, that they sound so familiar, and it's because they are. familiar. They are
Okay.
they are like relatively
Beautiful.
new though, within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I've ever seen them, but also like in the part of America that I'm in, we
Yeah.
have like only regionally available chips that
Right.
are like just now starting to make their way to other parts of the world.
That's the other
Oh, yeah.
thing about like because I was like Toronto was an hour flight from where I am, and I was like
Mm.
there was a Trader Joe's in my hotel, and I was like, I'm gonna get some chowder. I love me some chowder, and then they had like 10 soup, the little soup crocks, and not nary a chowder among them. And I'm used to
Whoa.
there being 2, and one of them being chowder, and the other being something else.
I went to Oregon a couple of years ago and was like in shock that I had forgot that Utz chips were like a Maryland like
What?
Eastern Shore brand.
What?
Yeah, they don't have them on the West Coast.
What? Now
I think they only recently, within like the past 5 years or so, like
That's-
made their way down to like Georgia and Florida too.
that's not true. That's, what? This is like when I learned candlepin bowling was like only in like 2 states,
Right?
and it's like
It just seems like they should be everywhere because you walk into the gas station and you're like, oh sure, like there's the Utz chips.
and any place I go to that has chips also has Utz of it. I would regularly see the Utz drivers. That's I don't know. Marn, I don't believe you. I feel like I'm being gaslit on my own show.
It feels fake. I mean, I know Utz also only has like flavors that you can get in Maryland, but
Yeah.
that is normal to me. You can only get crab chips in Maryland.
Now I gotta go to that Baltimore art show and see these special Utz flavors.
Yeah, we have crab chips, which are just Old Bay chips, but Utz can't legally use the Old Bay name because there is like another brand of chips that licensed it so they can call it Old Bay chips, but nobody actually eats those.
I recently bought some Old Bay seasoned goldfish, which is like a very practical product. And then
I haven't tried them because they sell out so fast in stores here.
They did. I mean, even up here, they did sell out pretty quick. I got them as they were putting them out, but it is like we're gonna end the show, but eventually. But it blew my mind when I realized that goldfish are shaped like fish because they're soup crackers. But that aside, that's why the original one is plain, because they're oyster crackers, basically.
I never thought about that before.
Yeah, that's why original quote unquote Oreos, or the ones that are called original, are just soup crackers, like that saltinish kind of cracker, because they're like little fish that you put in your soup. They're cute little guys that swim around your chowder. But cheddar as a cheese delivery service, it reigns supreme. That is maybe that's an American pastime, cheese delivery services.
I've never even heard of those.
What? Goldfish?
Cheese delivery services.
Oh, that's what goldfish are. Doritos, cheeseburgers.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about foods that we just cover in cheese, or a cheese approximation.
Yeah, I mean like cheddar, Cheez-Its,
yeah.
Cheddar, the other one, cheddar or something, yeah.
And there's American cheese, which, what is American cheese? Who knows? Anyway.
Yeah, right.
Cheese adjacent stuff.
Well, Cheese Whiz.
Cheese Whiz, yes.
What's Cheese Whiz?
It's like cheese in a can that you spray
Yeah.
it.
Oh God!
Cheese in an aerosol can.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Sorry,
No, it's
that's
fine.
so.
I think that is a very uniquely American
As
thing.
I mentioned Cheese Whiz, I'm saluting the American flag in my room, of course.
Right?
There was a time on this show, I don't remember the name of it, but there was a terrible hot spring that was the most American thing I've ever seen. It was like in the Midwest, and it was beautiful. It was like a hot spring instead of like concrete, and there was like clearly PVC piping in water, and it was
Oh my god.
graffiti all over it. And it's like truly the peak of America.
America.
Yeah, we're a beautiful trash hole of a country. But we got some good people in it. Like, I guess. Anyway. Giant countries, turns out they're complicated, you know? Small countries, turns out they're complicated.
Yeah. Moral of the story, things are different and crazy.
Yeah, but who would have thought? Anyway, this is my anyways get closer and closer to me actually ending the show. This is why. The thing is, I realized I was at a demo night on Tuesday, a local game demo night, and so I mentioned offhandedly that like, I have some of the contributors are also on a radio show, and people go, oh, so the person was like, oh, I should listen to that, and I was like, you know, it's really fun to do. I don't know how good it is to listen to, but I think it's really fun to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this has been fun.
And that's like the tagline for Indiepocalypse Radio. I don't know how it is to listen to, but it's a lot of fun to be a participant.
I think the most important stuff of any podcast is to have fun and be yourself.
Yeah, this is like if I spent time to update the description of this, it would be it's like a post-con hangout, you know? But with people scattered across the US and the world that we're never going to find our way to any singular space where we're all going to be together. But the internet lets you do it.
Oh, it's such a magical thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Good stuff.
Also a horrible, nasty thing.
Good stuff and bad stuff also there, you know? Something awful, a cesspool. But I do think about, but I also do think a lot about that guy who opened Palm Slam's Chronicles of Riddick into his VHS player every morning, VCR, and starts doing the moves. It's weird to have been like, oh yeah, I probably saw Slender Man on one of those Photoshop Fridays or whatever, and it just was another thing. But we're actually ending the show. Rudy, hello. If people were looking for your stuff, you mentioned it before, but where can people find your work if they want to find it?
We're on miserytourism.itch.io. There's that, or at Lynch Poet on Twitter. That's my personal stuff. But yeah.
Oh no, I closed my. I usually have everyone's bookmarks up, but I closed my questions form.
I was gonna say I can link it, or
I got you. Don't worry, I got you covered.
Okay.
I did miserytourism.com, but it'll get you there.
It'll get you there. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
We'll Google Misery Tourism.
Yeah, it sounds like you probably got some good SEO on that.
It's surprisingly good. Yeah.
Yes, you're number one on the call sheet there. Perfect.
Oh yeah.
Marn, hello. Where can people find your stuff if they're looking for it?
You can find me at marns.itch.io. You can find my podcast network at goodfuckingpodcast.com with no G
URL.
on the fucking. Yeah, we have a real URL, but that's my favorite redirect that we have.
You can just that's the beauty. Redirects for like $15, so you can just buy them.
Yeah. You can find my fiction writing that I do with my wife at cardzeropress.com.
Oh, perfect. I have the two there. I'm not going to type in good fucking website because that would require me to type something in, and I'm lazy. But you can get there.
Yeah, I gotcha.
There it is. Thank you. Perfect. Good fucking podcast. And then listen, the when they opened the subdomain, or like they opened up the subdomain floodgates or whatever you call those things, that was a curse to people who thought buying websites is funny.
It's true. I think another podcast network that we're friends with bought badfuckingpodcast.com, and it also redirects to our website.
Awesome.
Speaking of awesome websites and millions of websites, Ruby, where could people? We talked about Back Pocket at the top. Is there a Back Pocket a hub to go to?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure it's backpocket.gg.
Okay.
That is kind of I think that links to our link tree, something like that. But you can tune in on Twitch at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I don't know what that is
It's
in
called
American
fucking
time.
Figure it out.
Yeah, it's called, go to timeanddate.com
Yeah.
and go to time zone converter and figure it out.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's a live show every Thursday. I think at least I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. I'm gonna say Thursday morning in America, if not Wednesday night, something like that. But
time zones, funny little things they are.
funny little things, aren't they? But we've got our live show for Back Pocket then, which is very cool. You can find me on Twitter at Rubianus. It's kind of that for any other thing
Yeah.
as well. And also I've got a podcast that releases every Friday on Spotify, Apple Music, fucking all of those things called Pocket Buds, where I talk to friends about stuff. So
Perfect.
yeah.
All those plugs, got them all out. And, I'm here. You know what I'm here for. It's Indiepocalypse. You go to indiepocalypse.com. It's where you buy it. You can buy physical editions there. If you live anywhere in the world, I'll send you a tape that has Indiepocalypse games on it. I'll eat their shipping costs. I'll look at Bandcamp, like how much it costs them to send cassette cases, and go, wait a minute, shipping is more expensive than that. But I can't reasonably charge someone $20 for a tape and then $20 to ship it to like Australia. So
Yeah.
whatever you get, it's a steal. Anyway, buy that there. It's got a Patreon. Basically anything you want to look for with Indiepocalypse. If you do indiepocalypse.com/thatthing, you'll find it. Whether it's Patreon, whether it's tapes, whether it's radio, whether it's submissions. If you want to be like, some of our guests here and get your game in there, become part of the Indiepocalypse $6 guarantee, which is, every 6 to 8 months I send you $6 through PayPal, approximately. I just sent out a bunch of them the other day. Did I pay either of you? I don't remember. What are you, 31 and 42? Let me look. Let me do 37 and 42. A 7's kind of like a fancy one when you think about it. The answer is no. No, I did not. You're currently sitting at $2.11 for issue 37 and $2.09 for issue 42. And once it reaches that $5 sweet spot, I go royalty payout time, because I'm not paying more in PayPal fees than I'm sending out.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, Rudy, Marin, Ruby, thank you all for being here on the show. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to hang out. Glad keep on doing what you're doing. Glad to have you making games, making stuff, just like being in the game space. It helps. I think it's a cool little space, and anyway. This is me talking more instead of ending the show. Instead, I'm just going to end the show as soon as I find. There you are, Fubar. Hidden behind all these little things. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.